You know what, I'm gonna.
Huh?
I guess okay, so.
Why? All right. So you guys are at the
Yeah,
meeting.
tilt it the other way.
I like it just this.
Yeah,
way.
fine. Look,
Okay,
I'm not even good.
yeah, great.
You can hear my voice.
So I would like to call our August 27th meeting to order. Thank you all for coming, and for anyone that might be joining us on Zoom, thank you for your interest and participation. First item on our agenda is public input. Don't think we have anybody from the public here. Did we receive any correspondence or anything?
No, we didn't.
No, okay. Then moving on, we have the minutes of July 23 and August 22.
We did not have a meeting.
Oh, we didn't have, right, we didn't have August 22, yeah. So July 23. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
You make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And
I do,
discuss,
we do have a quick
Yep,
discussion.
yep.
It has to do with Tom Reesum stating the conversation on the construction was premature. And I would like us to have an agenda item in next meeting to discuss that whole situation. Because he gave us a pretty detailed response finally, and I think we should go over it and see if there's anything of value in it as for possible construction techniques that we could adopt.
That's good. Keisha, would you make a note of that for next month's agenda? Adding to that, I would love to coordinate with Tom for a field trip. Anybody that's available to go when he's ready to take us. I don't know where they're at in construction. But as soon as it is viable for us to tour
Across
through
from
across from the school, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
How many units are there?
Two, I think.
No, two buildings.
two buildings, but I think that there's two in each building.
I thought there
believe.
was 6 or 8.
No, not that many.
Yeah, it's perplexing as to, and a lot of people have raised this issue as
Why did they do more?
why is one of the buildings just one story?
Yeah.
And what was the reason for that? What were the constraints, and could they not have worked their way around that? Because that's what we're trying to do, is to open up affordable housing, accessory dwelling units. So the town did not follow what probably may not have been possible at that time, but
I think we should ask those questions.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do that, but
Well, it's kind of water over the dam.
I know
but
that,
it
but I
would
mean-
nice to understand how they came to where they.
yeah.
And-
Yeah, I mean, obviously we
can
can't
say-
fix what's there, but I mean, just so it doesn't happen again.
It wasn't a zoning issue because they didn't present anything beyond what they're building to zoning.
Wow.
But maybe it was, maybe it was an
I thought there was
anticipated zoning
I
issue.
thought there was a density discussion at that time, because this was all predating. Yeah, so the rules were different then. I think
Yep.
at this juncture, they probably could have done more density. But then I'm just recalling, I could be wrong,
That was
but
before my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think density was an issue. So,
I didn't see Tom's. I did not see Tom's.
Oh, that one's open.
oh,
That's Cindy's.
I took it out of my mouth since we were on Zoom. I didn't want to. Sorry, Chris. One slightly used lifesaver. I'll be happy to share it with you.
We're really cutting costs here.
Sorry.
So I did not see Tom's input. Did you?
I sent it to
You
everybody.
sent it to everybody.
You should
Yeah.
have a like a 3-page.
Came from
email.
Chris,
Okay, all right.
I think.
Yes.
Here you go. Yeah.
Continuing discussion on the minutes. I had a couple of corrections. On paragraph 5.
Was there a second?
Yes, there was a
Then there
second,
was
and then
discussion.
we're starting for
Who was the
discussion.
second? Sorry.
Chris.
Oh,
Mark,
Mark. Okay,
we had a first, we had a second, and now we're
Okay.
open for
all
discussion.
right.
So number 5. Rosemary reported that Block Island Conservancy is on board to assist with the West Side project in any way they can. Cindy Pappas reported, and then. This is what I thought my intention was and what I said, but. Cindy Pappas reported that in the past, our board has had discussions with BL, Block Island Land Trust, TNC, BIC. About the possibility that future land acquisitions might have the ability to designate small affordable housing sites. This goal was recently factored into the Champlin's Marina acquisition. Cindy will reach out to the Block Island Land Trust again to renew this discussion. I believe that's
Okay,
what, and I wrote that out.
thank you.
And then on the second page, after the list of options, the paragraph starting Rosemary Tobin stated. That she's an advocate for rentals, comma, but she believes that if the project is scaled back to cost less. So just
Oh, I'm
it
missing.
didn't
something
make-
there. Yeah,
a complete sentence, so your intention was that you were advocating for rentals.
yeah, but if it's
but-
gonna cost less, yeah, for sales. I don't know.
I'm not sure what you,
Maybe-
I don't know.
Yeah,
what you
you
know.
said that if we'd scaled back the project, that it would cost less.
Oh, maybe-
I think my,
yes,
my
maybe that-
wording was just
yeah,
off
okay,
here,
okay.
yeah. I need to correct that.
All right, and she believes that the West Side Road land should be maximized.
Mhm.
I think if we just,
Most of them.
because use of the land, it just sounded, I think we were specifically talking
Yeah.
about our property, I
Ball of
believe.
Ryan, I
Yeah.
don't know what we call it.
Yeah.
Ball of Ryan.
And then in number 7,
Just on that one,
Yep.
so I didn't comment on that because it says some options are, doesn't really explicitly talk about the private-public option. It does say discussion on business potentially buying units for employees, but it doesn't talk about the public-private development.
That was the previous
Was it the
meeting,
previous meeting?
that
Okay,
was the
sorry.
previous meeting,
Got it.
yeah.
That was the one, well, that was, okay, got it. I wasn't at
Then-
that,
That was the one that
then,
Rob, yeah,
I wasn't at this meeting. sorry.
yeah.
Oh, okay. And then number 7. Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. It's just a funny sentence. Recalled that the grant from Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank was
Or 3.
for 300,000. Since the board is not actively, we have a discussion about the funds. Chris Warfel questioned if the footprint would have to be known. I wasn't really sure what we were talking about there either.
So,
Footprint would have to be known if the,
like the footprint of the.
Like
of
the building
the-
envelope?
The building, yeah,
Where they were situated, we were talking about using the infrastructure grant to create what we thought would be a reasonable amount of infrastructure, irrespective of where the buildings were going to be located.
okay,
And,
that sentence didn't give that.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Okay,
okay.
so yeah, we were basically saying, could we use the grant money to begin the infrastructure
Right,
for the property
Okay.
was the kind of where we were. And Rosemary Tobin questioned whether a part of the infrastructure, delete that, can be built now. So just, diddly stuff. Last page, Chris Warfel made a motion to seal the minutes. Any other comments, changes, corrections on the minutes from the last meeting? then would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as correct.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? So voted.
Aye.
Um,
I do have a question. Do we know why the meeting,
before, could I just say one more thing before we go there? Uh. Chris, you had them posting the minutes on the bulletin board, which is fine, but I think it might be better to post ones that we've actually approved rather than
I
ones that
didn't
we,
post these.
well, if you do,
I said, I always say unapproved.
you do,
Yeah,
okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
say unapproved.
Yeah,
minutes.
it probably would be better to post the approved ones, but as long as it specifically says,
Okay, I definitely say unapproved.
Good.
But, I'll have to get the approved minutes. Like,
yeah, and the time lag is
I just
not-
want people to see what our meeting's about.
Yeah,
And,
and I appreciate that.
if they want to see the approved minutes, well, you know, they are available. Our corrections are always, I think, fairly minor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one just,
Those things
this
were
one
bad
just seemed a
grammar.
little bit, there's some grammar, which is nothing to worry about, but I don't feel that we were communicating clearly on some issues,
Okay.
but yeah. 6 of one, half dozen of another, as long as it says unapproved.
I will be glad to put the approved minutes to, yeah, no problem.
Well, we don't wanna give people too much paper that they have to plow through, but either way, okay. So, all in favor, we're good. A review and approve financial reports.
Well, I had a question on, can you tell us why the meeting was canceled?
You want to
Wait a second.
put that on number 4 when we're going to synopsis?
Okay, sure.
So, because we got the financial reports first. Any questions, comments, concerns on our financial reports?
No. But I did want to talk, I don't know if this is the right place to do it.
Hmm.
I wanted to talk about the meeting we had with Amy,
Mhm.
the last meeting. There was really nothing significant except, and this might not be significant. Amy said she would look and give us a recommendation, given that interest rates are going to go down, whether we need to look at any of our CDs and do something now before interest rates go down. The interest rates will probably go down in September.
Yeah.
There'll be a lag period before they get to CDs, but usually when they go down, the lag period is shorter.
So meaning we might want to tie something for a longer time frame. Is that what
Yeah,
you're?
well.
At a lower
yeah,
interest rate.
No, at a higher interest rate.
Higher, yeah.
Yes. So she
Okay.
was gonna look at everything we had to see if that was an option.
I think that's a great anticipatory thing. And if you and Chris want to continue to work with that, from a logistical point of view, I don't think that we have any need for fluid funds right now. For
So that was the second.
unfortunately, we're not in a building mode yet.
Amy recommended that we draw down our checking account. And put more of it into higher earning CDs.
Makes sense.
So. So we could, is the checking account is Washington Trust XX 7940, is that right?
Yes, it is.
So what do we think that should be drawn down to? She recommended 25, but when I was talking with her, she said we had 50 in there, so I don't know where this.
We had set it at 50, and then I remember last meeting, you said we thought we should go lower. And that would be discussed now. I would approve, support going lower. I was not at the meeting with Amy and Mark, I missed it. But I do approve going lower since we don't have any need to spend funds.
Let's
large
just take
funds.
a second to brainstorm. We have no engineering funds, we have no legal costs that I'm anticipating in the immediate future. We have no acquisition costs, unfortunately, that I'm thinking of. Anything we're missing?
You're also going into the collection period.
True,
And we do have our other account, which is liquid.
Oh,
If we.
yeah.
do
If we
need
needed money.
Money,
Yeah.
we can draw it out the next day.
oh, well then, no brainer, yeah,
We can.
yeah, that checking account shouldn't require much of anything. 10,000, yeah, I mean, we're not writing out checks, right?
Right.
Is that something we should make a motion on,
Yeah, I think so.
or you wanna go ahead?
I'll make a motion to put the balance of our checking account to $10,000.
I'll second that motion. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye,
Okay,
And I do want to think, remark that I do think the market's already starting to take into consideration the decreasing of,
Yeah.
likely decreasing of interest rates by the Fed. If you look at the value of fixed interest rates right now, current, they have increased in their value because they're at a higher interest rate that will be available fairly shortly. So that's how it works.
okay. Very good. Okay, moving on then, anything else for finances?
no,
Good. Moving on then, synopsis of the meeting with the land trust.
Let's
sorry.
make a motion to
Oh.
approve
Oh.
the financial reports.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
we had a motion, and we had a second, approve it.
That's.
Oh, motion to approve the financial report.
Second,
all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So voted, thank you. Okay. Synopsis of the meeting with the land trust, which did not happen. So essentially, a lot of confusion about how to move forward, who could be present, who could not be present. So I just said, well, let's table it and reorganize ourselves.
what's the confusion about?
Well, I think that there are two issues that kind of got melded into one. And the first was that we wanted to have a general discussion about cooperation and where our goals overlapped and how we could support each other in our mutual goals. That's one discussion. The second discussion, I think, was the issue of the willingness of the land trust to discuss reorganizing their fee and possible legislative action to get to that point. And I think that the first discussion of talking about how we work together, great, easy, groundwork has been laid for that. The second discussion, I think, was not ready to be put on the table in a public forum for the first go. You know, that groundwork should be laid, consensus should be built, rapport needs to be established, finding out who, you know, who's willing to support that, to put that in the public eye. I don't think it would have been an appropriate first conversation.
I don't know how we have this conversation without the public involved, I mean, legally.
Chris, I think we have to, Chris, I think we have to have the conversation with Land Trust and really understand where they stand. I think from being on Block Island Conservancy and working with Land Trust a lot, I think both organizations are that they want to help with the land trust. It's a legislation thing. So I think we need to have the initial conversation with them. If that is something that they're willing to do. You know, they talked about adding a percentage and then or taking a percentage away and they have to change the legislation. I think we need to sit down and work it out. Like, how does it happen? How did you do it? Because they can't do it themselves. We have to grab it from either the town or the board or something like that. We have to figure out how it would work. And even if I do think that they would be interested in some of it.
Well, I think that the issue is.
I just
that-
don't think the public can't be there because it's a confusing thing, then it's gonna go off.
I don't know how you have this conversation.
Well,
unless
open
in
meeting-
a closed session.
Right, open meeting laws are, when we've got more than 2 board members, it has to be posted. And the original meeting, you know, I just figured, oh, you know, we're gonna invite everybody and let's have it posted. And then the collective wisdom was, well, let's take this a little bit slower. So either we need to have an executive session, but I'm not even sure you can talk about that in executive session. I'm not sure what the rules are for executive session unless it's legal. Well, I suppose it could be legal action, but it could be for financial things or acquisition. You can be in closed
Closed
session.
session for that.
But otherwise, I think we would have to have a subcommittee of
Two people.
two people, yeah.
Okay, so I gave to you my review of the legislation from the state and through the town ordinance that created them. And I would like to use that as a basis for exploring how we can modify land trust's current methodologies to be more favorable towards affordable housing. People should also review those and add their comments, so we have a good collective understanding.
Chris, I've got the minutes, but I'm drawing a blank on, you sent something else out?
Yep, PDFs with comments on
On the legislation.
the state legislation and on
Why am I blanking on that?
well, sometimes I can send, but I'm pretty sure I did.
You
I
got
will
it?
check.
I don't know.
That
Well,
I will
mean,
check.
I could be blanking on it.
It could have
Um,
just gone into.
But I think, okay, if that went to us, then I think we should, as a board, we should look at that,
Absolutely.
digest it. And then come up with a game plan.
Yeah, like a,
You know,
how do we present? it to
rather
land
than
trust?
have
Yeah.
just an unprepared, let's,
Absolutely, that's why I did it.
Yeah.
I did it in probably 2 weeks ago.
I think that would be a good, like, since we're not really working on a project right now. And we have the focus and we have all of us and we're getting into the fall, that would be a good project for us to really focus on.
Yep.
And then present it to land trust in a smart, you know. Legal way, this is
Well,
how we're presenting,
just
how we
with-
do it.
positive suggestions of how to move
exactly.
forward.
So Mark's got it.
Then it must have gone to all of
Yeah.
us.
You
I can
should
look them
have
up.
it. But anyway, it's for another time.
Okay.
Otherwise,
All right, well,
But I do think let's, you know, I say we focus on it and we come up with a really good plan and we let it, and we make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in agreement that it, you know. We should be working with them. And try to figure it out and
it's
present the
possible.
best way to make it work. And then if it doesn't work, then we at least know that we tried, or we, you know, can maybe even presenting it, we'll come up with a better way or a different way to work with them. But
well, I think, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The homework, we just need to do our homework first.
Yeah, read the language that I highlighted because I thought that was where we had the opportunity. But you may find other ways or other language that would also give us the opportunity to do this. Those are what I sent to you is what I just noted, you know, from my review.
I'm having a vague recollection now that, yeah, but I will have more attention in another week.
Yeah.
But I did go through the minutes that you sent. So, and, you know, I read it, highlighted what is applicable to us. And I really thought that what I read was incredibly positive.
Right,
I really,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, it's
yeah,
incredibly
now's a
positive.
good time to do it.
So,
I'm only up to June of 22, so. And I'm gonna give a shout out over Zoom to Heidi Tarbox again. She keeps the best minutes I've ever seen. So detailed that I'm able to go through this thick binder and really get an understanding. You know, when I was on the town council, our minutes were very brief and, you know, I don't think people got a good understanding of what was there. It was just put it out, that's it. Very brief, but Heidi's is extremely detailed.
well, you really get a sense of the conversation
Yeah.
and the drift of the group. So this was very good. And I had a personal conversation with Barbara McMullen previously. You know, I really feel that the group is very conscious of any future land negotiations that they may be involved in. I think that if there's a possibility, we will be in the mix. And they certainly have demonstrated that by the Champlain Road, the Champlain Marina thing. So, you know, I think there's a really good working basis. They share a lot of our concerns and
So
but I
a
think
couple.
you need to go gently.
Couple of questions on this. So have we seen any of the polls that you highlighted in the analysis? Has one been done?
They are past due on their pool that's required now
Yeah.
by at least a year, I believe, if I did my math right. I have seen previous polls and I have them. I didn't send them to you. I think those polls are pretty slanted, to tell you the truth. They're not professional polls. And the people that respond to those polls, if you look at the demographics, are white, wealthy people. And that's in their data.
Mhm.
And so I would like to see a poll that is,
Housing poll or land trust poll?
Land
Land
trust
trust.
request
Oh,
every 5 years. Their rules say they'll do one every 5 years.
it's like the census saying there are no Hispanic people on Block Island, you know,
Yeah.
so we know that's not right. I feel that this is a slanted poll because of who responded and it's not indicative of the island. However, the polls are available. I can get them to you. Heidi has been excellent in telling me where to look for things. And I did download, I think, the last two.
And Barbara McMullen said that she gave me the 2019 and a draft for the 2024 poll. And
I didn't
is
see that.
asking, I didn't send it out. I just got this shortly.
No, I didn't see it. Oh, shit, that poll hasn't not been sent.
No, the 2024, they're working on a 2024 poll. And
Must have been right.
they are asking, they sent us the draft and they're asking us to weigh in on it and see if we have any
Okay.
questions that we want to
add,
comment on or change. So, or add.
when
So I will send this around.
are they doing it?
We need to do it, I think they want to do it this fall.
Okay,
So we also
next
need to
meeting.
look at how they do the outreach and who completes. Well, who gets the poll to respond to, because it looks like it just goes to not a wide segment of Block Island, but a pretty narrow one. So
Well, I'm gonna go to everyone.
I don't know how they
Mm.
release it, you know, it may go, you know, maybe an email blast, maybe something in the paper.
Okay,
It was like the fault that was found with what Alicia and I did. Well, how do you know this is a valid poll? And we had sent things out to the Hispanic community, we sent things to all different ways,
Yeah.
and we could only, you know, use the data that people provided to us. And so, you know, right away, people were going after our results too.
Mhm.
So the other point I wanted to make is that just so we're aware that I've had some conversations with people associated with the land trust and their allergy to opening up this legislation to anything else is that the legislation will go away.
Yeah.
In other words, it'll be lobbied in Providence to, you know, homeowners or home buyers have paid enough. And there's no reason to keep funding this thing. So that's just a warning.
Yeah, well, that's been out there for a long time. And I think, you know, in the early years, I think that was really probably pretty valid.
Mhm.
It still is a concern, I'm sure, but I think that we're not the only one in the state
Yeah,
anymore
there's
with
other ones
land
that
trust.
exist now.
Yeah, that-
You brought that point up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, that times have changed a bit and certainly there is, you know, when the land trust came into being, the island was up against developmental pressure big time.
Mhm.
And, you know, thank God that legislation went through and the early years of the land trust really made a big difference in the way the island is today. They perform, you know, they without them, I don't know what the island would look
I
like.
know.
So, you know, amazing job.
Sure.
And they had a focus and they stayed with their focus and they have saved the island, in my opinion. times have changed, decades have
Yeah,
passed,
things
and,
change,
and you
that's-
know, there's room for discussion.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's pros and cons, but I think the important thing is that we at least,
Yeah.
you know, oh,
Well,
take a
there-
look
There-
and
There's
see.
still a huge argument for stewardship and, you
Yeah.
know, there's no way that they can allow land trust to own
No,
that
they
much
need-
land
they need-
without money coming in to
To
take care of
maintain
it
it.
forever.
Right.
You know,
They
it has to
need
be
a-
taken care of
Question
forever.
is, do they take care of it?
Yeah, they do.
They are stepping up.
Yeah.
I think just of recent, I mean, there's a lot more mowing and cutting and what have you. You don't want I'll share mine with you. So,
Appetizer.
so but it needs to be a open, cordial,
Yeah.
thought-provoking discussion.
Yeah, I just feel like the conversation of like, it'll get taken away, there's just too many factors to argue that it's still very well needed, you know?
Oh,
I mean,
and
you
we
can't
do
have
need it.
half of the land in the island almost half conserved without taking care of it.
And,
you know,
and there are still critical,
There's so many invasives and, you know, there's.
but there are still critical parcels that are coming up
Yeah.
that, they're gonna need some deep pockets for.
Mhm.
So, their job is not done and they're doing a bang up job and they have the future to think about, but there might be some creative ways. And I think, as we look forward, Rosemary and I said, do you got any hot ideas for land acquisition? She says, no. I look critically at what's on the market all the time. There's nothing there for us to buy.
Yeah,
I don't see a heck of a lot in the future. So it's going to be very important for us to keep a good relationship with BILT, TNC, Block Island Conservancy, because they may be in the position to be acquiring parcels.
Yep.
And if they can give us, 5,000 square feet,
Mhm.
somehow, that gives us one more house.
Mhm.
So they may be in a better position for land acquisition than we are in the next 2 decades. I don't know.
We certainly will have, well, the land trust will have more money coming than we will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we should look at that to not their, how we can. Get more money, I guess that's five, never mind.
So along those lines, though, speaking of the land trust, so they could be an entity that backs us for a loan.
no,
I
Why
don't
not?
they
think
can't
so.
do anything,
I don't
they can't do
think
anything
so.
with the house on it, they can't do,
Hmm.
that's why they always. Work with BIC and TNC because they don't have that legislation in there. Their legislation is very specific to what they do.
Look at what I commented on, if you can, please. I think there are opportunities for interpreting the existing legislation that lets them do these things, but it would require more eyes than just mine.
Yeah.
To come to that agreement.
But I think that's part of the discussion we have with them in the beginning to see how can we both make this work so that housing benefits a little bit from,
Well, I am 100% confident that they are open
Yeah.
Okay.
to working with us.
I do too.
I'm sure they're gonna draw their lines of what they're willing to do and not willing to do, but I think they are definitely looking to partner with us.
So what's the process for moving forward with?
Well, I think we go to Chris's mailing first.
Yeah.
And then it should be an internal board discussion. What is it we're asking for?
Yeah.
What
Let's come up with a game plan.
are we asking for?
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be clear, reasonable, concise.
Yeah.
Not just, you guys need to give us money.
Yeah,
No.
Or and the corollary is, of course, how can we tag on to any of your land acquisitions? Which I think is the easier part of the discussion.
The overlook. Purchase is a really good lesson on what is possible.
Mhm.
And I have been taking a lot of notes on that, and that was a long long process.
Mhm.
So that's why I've only gone through 2 years of minutes, and 90% of what I took notes on was the Overlook acquisition. And I see that process as a basis for how we can work with the land trust.
Mhm. Yeah,
So.
so really nice foundation there.
Yeah.
So. So then, next month, we'll have that discussion about, land trust legislation. And if everybody would please be prepared for that by having.
I'm out of the country next.
Ah!
So,
And I may be in the hospital.
Oh,
So,
dear.
it depends on, how early. In a month.
Are you going for the whole month, Mark, or you,
no, I'm just away for a week.
okay, because we could
We could change the
reschedule,
meeting.
we could
Yes, good
reschedule if
schedule, yeah,
we get you before a hospital and you before Europe, so let me know what your commitments are and we could
Okay.
reschedule. I
absolutely.
hate to miss a meeting because
Yes.
I have a feeling if you two don't come, then we don't have a
We
quorum.
we have no
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah. So, no pressure, guys. Health first, and I know you have to go to,
Travel second.
yeah.
Is the, just
I'll switch.
maybe we can discuss this next time, but I was looking for I didn't see the 3% in this legislation. Is that a defined thing?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Well,
No,
it's the
no.
plan-
It
Yeah, they can-
it can be voted on.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
can change.
Well, yeah, it can be
Yeah, it
changed,
can
but
be
right now
changed.
it's set at 3%.
Yeah.
Got it.
But that's an internal vote, not through the legislation.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering.
Not through legislation, but through the town records that that's the fee.
Yes, but I believe it's an internal land trust decision on raising or lowering the fee. How the town interacts with that, I'm not sure, but I know the state legislature does not.
Oh, they actually go up to 5%.
They can go up to 5, but they only do
Yeah.
3.
They were at 2.
We started at 2.
2, yeah.
It was at 2, it was bumped to 3, I can't remember when. But it was. It's internal to the land trust and the town.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good to move on?
Yes.
Discussion of alternative funding ideas. So this is kind of,
The same conversation.
well, no, I mean, there's lots of things to talk about here. Basically, we have a project, we've designed and had approved a project that we can't fund.
Mhm.
So we can do any number of things. Beginning with, start all over again. Or try to phase the project, find other sources of money, do some fundraising. We are a 501(c)(3). We can accept donations that are tax deductible. So
And that leads to me to incorporate item 6, discuss how to use a website to achieve goals. This is a parallel conversation with funding ideas, if that's okay with you folks.
go ahead.
I was reviewing a bunch of websites for communities or whatever entities that are promoting affordable housing. And they all have a way to accept donations through their websites.
Yeah.
And our we don't have that capability, and I don't think, and people probably are aware that donations are tax deductible. But I think we should be more, I don't want to say aggressive, but we should be more open in people being able to see that this is something that they can do. And make it easy for people to donate money, property, whatever, to the housing board for this purpose. So again, I saw this on other websites, I noted it. And since we're looking for alternative funding ideas, don't really have a way presently of doing that other than people just knowing. And we could educate them.
Point well taken. And while you were talking, that made me think of in general, our lack of publicity. But specifically, Chris, we haven't made an explicit plea for a long time about people being able to donate property to us, a la Ellen Jackie, you know, that model. And that would be a really good thing to underscore, but I think I am not conversant on the new state regulations that I think give more latitude, density latitude. So, you know what I mean? Because people that might have said, oh, I don't have enough money, enough land to give, maybe now they do.
Right, they have a non-conforming lot, which can
Correct.
be used to develop affordable housing and ADU. So
So
we
figuring
need
that out.
And I was part of that, and I still don't really completely understand it, in all honesty. There's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down on this. We need to understand that.
But that would be a really good piece if we can create a statement that's accurate, that gives people an idea of what they could do. That would be very powerful, I think.
Claire Cummings did a great cheat sheet for us to summarize all the things that we've worked on with the land trust attorney. I'll see if I can find that. And we can read that. It would be a good primer for what you're asking.
I mean, we had a Block Island Facebook page, which was good during the Cherry Hill Lane thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Facebook does so much fundraising through Facebook. I know I do tons of donations for people through Facebook. So, I mean, a website has to be monitored, and so does this.
Yeah.
So it's really deciding, you know, who does that and all that, you know, because I know with the BIC website, it takes a lot, you know,
Somebody to be on top of it. Yeah.
especially if you're doing credit card things and all that.
And there's nothing worse than an outdated website.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Whereas like Facebook would be easier. And you can do like, I mean, I was just thinking, you know, people do the birthday things, donate for my birthday. If we have a, you know what I mean? That could be people, something donating for their birthday or, and then we could educate people. Cause if it's Block Island, maybe it goes on the Block Island pages about, you know, cause then it's out to the tourists too and all that. But I don't know if that's an easier route than a website.
Well, it's certainly a quicker route.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had sent out to you from a mailing that I received from Rob. And said we'd put it on the September agenda. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that.
I did.
And I'm really excited about it.
One of the
With
things,
some of the stuff he sent.
so one of the questions I had when I looked at that, like Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, it's not clear. Are we a public organization or a private organization? Because it sounds like both Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard are private organizations.
I think that's correct. And we are quasi,
But what does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, the town
the
controls, the
town-
council
the town-
controls us.
Yeah, but the council never talks to us about anything.
I know, but
Sorry,
I'm
Zoom.
not, in other words, I question the donation part, like whether we can put out there that fund us on a website.
Yeah,
Well,
because
if
we have
If
to
we're
follow all of
associated with the
town
town.
rules
Because
for
the town-
financial stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we were
Yeah.
created through the legislature.
Right.
So we had to get a legislative authority to collect our fee.
Yes.
So that is how we were, and we were sponsored by the town, authorized by the town to create this body, the housing board, to collect that fee,
Mhm.
and the legislature underscored that. Now, how we got 501c3 status, I don't know, but we did. So that must mean that
That
we're,
indicates we could take
we're,
donations.
yeah,
But, I've never heard of a government or quasi-government
I don't know.
organization soliciting donations. That's the,
Well, the town,
because technically someone donate, I don't know.
people can
Controls-
donate to the town, you know,
I
yeah.
donated
yeah.
for to the rec department.
Yeah, you could,
deducted it. Ultimately.
I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah,
It-
yeah,
I think of it as quasi, because we're not private,
right,
we're under, governing legislation.
absolutely, yeah.
And we're elected and appointed, so that's not private.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, I'm just encouraging you.
Yeah.
This is, to me, very exciting. It's a great blueprint for us. And I think that the good news, when I read this, I would say 90% of the stuff that's in here, we have been grappling with. It's not like, they're teaching us stuff we don't know. But this is presented in such a cogent and tactical way. It's a blueprint for how to move forward. And we are doing a lot of the stuff that's already in here. It was
Mhm.
very encouraging to me. And I think getting something like this together for us would be great. So please look at it, be prepared to talk about it next time. They also, Nantucket had a very engaging website.
Yeah.
Very engaging, I thought.
Mhm.
And again, what is that saying? Imitation is the highest form of flattery,
Yes.
something like that.
Is
So,
the town still talking about a position on the town for housing? Or is that
I
off the
haven't heard.
table?
I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard
I haven't
anything.
heard that.
I will say, town council, Molly Neal. Had said to me, you should look at Nantucket Housing, which we did, Alicia and I did actually when we started this. Nantucket, there's so much larger than Block Island, so much more capability
Yes,
and horsepower.
yes.
It's a little overwhelming to try and replicate them,
Mhm.
but.
But when you look
Yeah,
at,
great strategy.
what they identify as their problems, what they identify as their strengths. Yeah, it's a different scale, to be sure, but it's still the same thrust, it's still the same issues. I was very encouraged by it.
Yeah,
So take a look at that, take a look at their website and the other stuff,
But, okay,
that,
they have like they're private,
yeah,
so they have like an admin,
well, they got, yeah.
yeah, I mean.
They hired this consultant who, Ann Silverman, I'm sure is the one who put all this together, did all the meetings and then condensed it to this. But, it's got some good ideas and,
I mean. I've been on BIC, I hate to keep comparing it, but we sort of ran into the same situation, and that was when we decided to budget and hire someone. To do all of the administrative stuff that has to get done, because we are a volunteer organization and obviously it's not someone's job. So we hired someone part-time, and then part-time went into not full-time completely. But now the position has been, I think it's been 5 or 6 years of a position with BIC that we pay them to do all of this stuff, the website stuff, the fundraising stuff, checking the mail, all of that, because we realized it was a job that, had to happen. So I don't know if that's something that we need to have a conversation with town council about, or,
no, I think
I mean-
that's internal to us.
maybe that's something we talk about, that we do hire someone part-time to,
Well,
do
if we're
some of the
gonna,
things
if we're
that-
gonna do a website,
Yeah, we have to.
we gotta
Yeah.
hire somebody, if we're gonna do,
but I mean, they would do all of whatever, the next project we're on, they would do all the filing and talking, you know what I mean? Like, we actually got to the point where we had to do it,
well,
yeah, and
you're,
budget it out.
yeah, your organization is more into specific fundraising.
Yeah.
So it does require a lot of
Mhm.
oversight and management of data and that sort of stuff, which we don't do on a day-to-day basis. And the town has provided the clerk
Right,
to take care of our finances, so they cover our finances. But certainly in social media, in websites.
yeah,
In that area.
Yeah.
I mean. Those of us sitting around this table are not capable of taking on that project.
Yeah.
So if we want to do it, we're gonna have to hire it out, for sure.
I'm just
Um,
saying that that might be something to talk about in the future, that that is a position that might be needed for the housing board if we are gonna be doing one project, two
Well,
projects.
after you review this material,
Yeah.
see how it strikes you, and if we say, hey, we want a website like Nantucket, we're gonna have to hire somebody, so, you know, that
Yeah.
is out there. Similar, Chris, you had worked with church,
Yeah, I don't recall the full name of them, but they're kind of new for us.
yeah, and, um. Rob had sent a couple of things, on One Neighborhood Builders and Omni Development Corp. I put calls into both of them. I have a telephone conference set up with Omni. And somebody at One Neighborhood is gonna get back to me, but, this harks back to that discussion of finding, public partner, private, public part.
Robert,
I say it.
Private.
Yeah, whatever it is. So this harks back to that, and I think, again, we need to get educated on, you know, what do companies like this do? What does it cost? How do the mechanics of it work? So I'll try to continue to reach out with these two guys. And I think when, Rob is expecting to be here in September, and I think he can probably add to that discussion quite a bit. But I think One Neighborhood Building, did have a project as low as 16 units. When I spoke with Omni, they said, you know, you really need at least 20 units, but let's
We'd love to
talk,
put 20
but let's
in.
talk. Which kind of segues into, I just want to report on a lunch I had with Barbara Bester. She's back in town. So, you know, just bringing Barbara up, that was our architect.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
Bringing Barbara up to speed. I'd kept her in the loop, you know, letting her know when we got rejections and all that stuff, but, so I had a nice lunch with Barbara. And, filled her in on where we're at. And it was a little discouraging because, she said, Cindy, let's go back to your office and go over the process of our thoughts, you know, the first discussion we had with her and where we ended up. And, some of you may recall that the very first ideas that she had pretty much mirrored exactly what Jerry Noonan and Rob Grant were saying, you know, larger building, one roof, much cheaper to build, that sort of thing. We rejected that. We were looking for, you know, something that would be more the Block Island vernacular, sit into the hillside better. And now we've come full circle to the point where, well, that was great, but we can't afford it. So that was a little discouraging to think that it's, we may be back looking at her original ideas or something along those lines so that we can actually build something.
We may not be able to afford it, but the way we were trying to build it. There are alternative construction techniques that we're trying to get
I know.
a hold of.
Yeah.
And that may lower square footage costs. Remember, church is able to build 2-bedroom units for $250,000
Right.
sold. So they have a system. And
How many units went in with the surf housing? That's one big building, right?
Oh,
It's one big ugly building.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. Hey, I give them great credit for doing it.
Yeah.
Where is?
Behind the gables,
Oh, yeah, okay.
there's a big employee housing building.
And then they
You know,
one
it's just,
tiny one
just a big
square.
big box. But there must be quite a few rooms in there.
I mean, do we try to start that project, one box with
No.
10 units in it?
Well, I mean, I think we have to put everything on the table
Yeah.
because that would require
A lot.
a lot. I think the alternative funding thing is what we want to pursue first, to see if we can find, where can we find the money to do our plan as approved? And if we run against a stone wall there, well, then we really have to drop back and re-envision or phase or something. But I think the first job is,
Mhm.
is there any other money out there?
Right. Do we have an update on the extension?
Yes. I did reach out to Allison Ring. And they said we could provide her with all of our engineering costs, all of those bills. And she would work on a reimbursement request for us. And the infrastructure bank also said we could shift the money that they budgeted for architectural costs to construction costs, which would include the utility, if we were able to, bring a trunk line in
Yeah.
to up to a certain point, we could use the money for that.
Okay,
So
That's good.
were you able to send those bills
I
to
sent those
Allison?
to her, but she's on vacation until the 29th,
Okay,
so she probably won't respond until.
but there is a deadline, we gotta try to do something there. She can get an extension, a 1-year extension to September 2025.
do we know, is there an accounting of the bills and all that? We have to approve that, so. Is there anything before us that we can look at to see what is going to be funded or presented to the infrastructure?
I just asked Keisha to send all of the GM2 bills,
I think
because that's
the
really
GM2 bills in total was, I think it was about $19,000.
19?
No.
No. No, way more than that.
You're right, yeah,
Way
there
more
was
than that.
one that was 19, one for 4,000 something,
Okay, well,
probably about 30,000.
At least,
Yeah,
because that should have included our original contract. Because some of those bills were over and above the original contract.
okay,
how about
So-
Baines
alright,
work?
let me go back.
Excuse me?
Baines work? That should be, we pay them for test holes and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
And I said the other is the
How,
That was-
architectural thing, not architectural, archaeological dig.
Yeah.
Might,
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
That has to be, that would happen no matter what we did,
Yeah.
so.
so I thought that might go too, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay,
I'll come in and go over that with you again, but yeah, there was the original contract. And the original contract, wasn't that like,
14,
no, it was like, I thought that was like $30,000. And then. Anyway, there's
Okay.
there's a lot of GM bills, and I thought we were close to 60 grand on them.
alright.
I could be wrong.
Would our financials from Amy break out the bills, or does she just total them? I think.
She can do a report that would put, there should be a report that says engineering costs,
Yeah,
legal costs, she categorizes.
can we ask her for just an up-to-date cost of our project, money spent so far? That we can just look at, like an itemized,
I don't See why not?
okay, and then.
I think that's a good idea, because
Yeah,
with a stretch, we might be able to sit some more.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, so that is in motion,
I
but
think
the
we're gonna
extension
get
is.
kicked off of Zoom.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, it sucks. Thank
Bye,
you,
Zoom.
anybody that may have joined us, thank you.
I think there was one person watching, when I checked. Let's see.
I'm surprised,
One
we didn't
person
pull more.
watching.
Oh, okay.
You know, maybe you can start off with some jokes.
All right.